goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. This is episode 39, the Larry Zonka episode. Little Dolphins Hall of Famer, if you will. That dude was mean as hell too. Promise not to be that mean during the show. We're going to go through some of the dual meets and things that we have coming up this week that we really like. Like I said, as always, it's nice to be back with these fine gentlemen. If you watched last week's, or I should say last Tuesday's episode, you saw why we've taken so long to bring you back some content. But hopefully you enjoyed the interviews and things that I got one in Nashville from some of those coaches. But as I said, we're going to dig into the conference competition that we have coming up this week. A little throwback to when we started this show. It was actually called conference crossover we were doing for a little bit when we were with Intermat. So it came together literally because we were all covering different conferences and we would just talk about our different conferences for the most part, which we still do, but now we're a little bit more well-rounded. But we're going to get back to that as the conference competition.
Round. I'm sensitive.
Listen, it's a shape and you're in shape. So round works.
Got a point.
The only shape that we really have these days, to be completely honest. We're going to talk conference competition as we get things going. And I think the right thing to do is honestly start in the EIWA, because there's some big things that are coming this week in the duel. So going to kick it over to Austin. What is happening in the EIWA and what can we look forward to?
Big duel this weekend is going to be Lehigh hosting Cornell. That's at 1 p.m. And then Cornell is actually going to wrestle at Bucknell later that night. But big news is I have on very good authority that Ryan Crookham will make his season debut this weekend. I assume Luke Stanich will be wrestling as well. Did not get confirmation on that. That's just me kind of reading between the lines there. And that will make this match much more interesting, obviously, having Lehigh's close to their full potential lineup in. And Grace Hall, if you've never been to a match there, a lot of magic happens there. A lot of matches that may not go as expected, just with the crazy atmosphere, kind of everyone's wrestling on top of you. And it's a wild environment. That's where my first college match was, and it was quite the experience. But going back there was always fun to watch those. Crookham should be back this weekend. WrestleStat has this one, Lehigh over Cornell, 19-14.
Does that take into account Crookham and Stanich coming back?
Yeah, I have Crookham in here. I have Stanich in here. Stanich and Cornella should be really good. But Shapiro didn't wrestle this past weekend. So
I would assume he'd be back in there.
I assume so too. And same with Ruiz at 74 for Cornell. So again, still some unanswered questions from Cornell. But should be a hell of a match because those two are always battling. They're always up there and should be going on that front. And then kind of non-conference related, Drexel will be at the NWCA mid-major national duels. The schedule just got released today. Thanks to Earl for putting that out at Intermat. Drexel's going to wrestle Bloomsburg, Ohio, CSU Bakersfield, and then Northern Iowa. And then they'll have a crossover with the other pool, which will likely be Fire Up Chips Central Michigan. So that should be another match for them after the crossover there. So
I legitimately almost interrupted you and yelled, Central Michigan, fire up.
The patience does not exist.
No.
Yeah, because South Dakota State is in Central Michigan's pool. I assume South Dakota State at a full lineup would probably win that pool and cross over with Northern Iowa, which would be a good match there. And then this coming Friday, F&M Open. I'll actually be there emceeing, doing my best Brian Hazard imitation. So if you're going to be around, let me know. We'll catch up. But that should be fun, all day wrestling in an open, which I touched on that before. There's going to be potentially 3 ranked guys per weight. Sometimes there's even 4. A lot of second semester guys going to some of these opens like the FNM Open, because it's second semester, obviously, and you get a bunch of matches there. I know a lot of full teams are going to be in attendance. I know Princeton's going to be there. Columbia has their full team. Ohio State usually brings a big contingent. Virginia Tech usually, teams like that are just getting guys some matches. Should always be fun. And we even have some Thursday action. Buffalo at Binghamton. If you're bored on Thursday night, want to see some wrestling upstate New York, tune into that one as well. But yeah, big one in my conference here is Lehigh Cornell. Tune into Flow. Catch that one. Should be some really, really good wrestling, good atmosphere as well.
Yeah, Lehigh Cornell will certainly be good. They were both in Nashville where I was at. Obviously didn't wrestle each other, but Shapiro made his return, and it was against Cannon Webster, which was a really good match. And had a chance to talk to Shapiro afterwards, and he was like, "Man, what a hell of a way to come back into the lineup, right? Is top 10 guy like right off the bat and have a match like that." And he's just he just made comments about how he felt during the match and how it felt to get back out there. He was obviously really dominant in that second match that they had, but if you've ever had a chance to talk to Shapiro, he's always fun-loving guy, like super upbeat and everything. And so it was really cool to talk to him after his first match back this year. And, Cornell as well as Lehigh didn't have everybody in the lineup that we had expected to see at the beginning of this year when in Nashville. I had a chance to talk to Coach Santoro. If you haven't checked that interview out, make sure you go do that. And he talks about how they were flat in Nashville, but like you saw the excitement and the anxiousness that he had for what his lineup is going to look now that we're in 2026, right? And this is obviously before Christmas, so he talked about the fact that Stanich probably could have wrestled in Nashville a couple weeks ago, but they held him out for a little bit longer, and Crookham ready to go as well. And they're still missing some pieces in their lineup outside of those two. There's still some weight classes where they have some holes to fill. Our guys are still banged up, but Lehigh Cornell is going to certainly be a really good duel with those guys coming back into the lineup. So definitely looking forward to that one. And on your note about Grace Hall, that place is always amazing. It's electric. I remember when we had Who's Number One there. I also had a chance to interview Dan Gable years and years and years ago when I was still at the Express Times newspaper, and he said that wrestling at Grace Hall was one of the best atmospheres because back then they had the fire marshal on hand, and he was like, had to step over people to get to the mat, and it was just like such a crazy atmosphere. He said he just absolutely loved it. So for anyone that's never been to Grace Hall, if you ever get a chance to, definitely go check out a dual meet there because it is super old school. And even when I was there for like wrestling camp, just like being able to wrestle in Grace Hall, regardless of how many people are even in there, it's just like such a great atmosphere because it's such an intimate like location and everything else. So definitely looking forward to Lehigh Cornell. Going to be a great duel.
Just another thing on that 133, obviously Crookham coming back. Cornell has Ferrara or Unger at 133. If Unger goes out, him and Crookham were teammates in high school, for one season, which it could be interesting there because I don't know if there might be bad blood between them. I'm not sure what happened with Crookham leaving Notre Dame, on the mat and off the mat issues between, I don't know if it was them two or some other people there, but I know Crookham left Notre Dame to go back to Saucon Valley because there was some stuff going on there. So it could be interesting if those guys wrestle because there'll be some familiarity there and they're both local boys. So, could get chippy.
Love that. Absolutely love that. That'd be great. Let's go Big Ten and any action that we've got from Claunch as well. What are you looking forward to this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much excited for NWCA national duels that Austin already referenced. Because you're going to get at least 5 dual meets with Central Michigan this weekend, which I always love. Shout out to my dudes over at Northern Illinois, Ryan Ludwig, Kyle Springer, Amanda Springer, good people out there as well. as well as Damian Hahn and the crew at South Dakota State, as well as TJ Dudley. There's a lot of people I know and like in these pools here, so that's going to be a fun one to watch. But getting to the Big Ten, I mean, this is going to be a fun weekend. We're really kicking off the season. This Friday's Michigan versus Michigan State. It is a maze out in Ann Arbor. I love coaching wrestling and little kids. If I wasn't doing that this Friday, I would have been there. But this is when our season starts, so I'm going to be coaching that. Be just as much fun. You also have Wisconsin versus Iowa. That'll be a good one. Wisconsin's got some studs in their lineup. Sam Fugit.
Keeter versus Amos.
Amos is going to be good.
Keeter Amos is going to be good. Nicola Rivera. But yeah, Fugit and Ayala at 133 should be fun as well. But Maryland Northwestern, that is also going on Friday. Again, I really like what Maryland's doing. Northwestern consistently seems to have a pretty tough lineup up and down, despite the academic restrictions and issues, just with getting in there and affording it. Rutgers and Penn State is Saturday. The biggest one Saturday that I'm excited to watch, as far as like just competitive balance, Minnesota versus Illinois. That should be a fun one. Illinois still has a good team and good roster. And great singlet options to use. Just lots of really good ones you could pick.
No pain singlets.
Pick the good ones.
I don't think you're going to see that one ever again.
That one's gone. It's gone now. And then Sunday, Indianapolis, Ohio State. Ohio State, like they've literally just been walking through teams. Like if you check their dual scores, it's ridiculous.
Really yeah.
I don't even remember who they just beat. Oregon State.
Crushed them. Yeah.
They absolutely crushed them. They lost one match. I didn't remember what weight it was, but they didn't even win with Rodemaker at 197 because they had like Seth Shoemate beat him in overtime. Or maybe it was Luke Geog. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like, or maybe that was their only win. Shit. I think that might have been their only win, and it still was in overtime. So yeah, they just are walking through people. So check them out. And then Maryland, Wisconsin. Oh, and then I'll shout this out too, just because it's happening. Bedlam's going on. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I believe that is Sunday as well. I mean, that's going to be pretty one-sided with my Oklahoma State Cowboys hat on. That I'm such a huge fan of. And so, yeah, but no, in general, I mean, like that should be pretty one-sided, but it should be good. I'm excited. It's kind of a bummer. Oklahoma had a couple transfers come in that really just didn't stay healthy. Peyton Keller would have been fun to have in the lineup. Mm-hmm. But no, that'll be a good duel anyway.
Yeah. I was impressed by Illinois and Nashville too. I wanted to get an interview with our short king Lucas Bird, but right after the duel, they kind of just like packed up and they were out of there. But did have a chance to talk to him about just like, in between matches of how he changed his style. He's like, no, once I realized that I could do the same thing I did in high school and college and I got comfortable, I stopped worrying about doing all the extra stuff and just got back to like basics of being who I am. So he's like, I'm not really going to change. I don't care how close a match is. It's really just about winning and everything else. So good to see him. He was another one of those guys that I had seen when they were back in high school, and just seeing him kind of grow up and become the short king that he is pretty awesome. But yeah, Illinois is still very tough team. Despite everything that they're going through with their coach, they're still, wrestling through it, not looking distracted at all by the things that are happening on the outside, but still wrestling very hard, nonetheless.
I should say, shout out to Mike Poeta. I really like him, and I thought he was doing a great job as a coach. And like, stop fucking.
It's just it's shitty situation.
Yeah,
it certainly is. Robbie, on you in the ACC.
ACC duels start this weekend. It's the smallest slate of duels that we'll have. Virginia Tech at Pittsburgh. There's going to be some really good matchups in that one. Keep an eye on 197. Sonny Sasso and Maxed Out will be really good. 285 Dayton Pitzer, Jimmy Mullen should be pretty good. The other one that I thought would be a fun one if it happens. Well, I guess depending on how it happens. Cade Brown is somebody that I've really been keeping an eye on. Thought that he was going to have a breakout year at 149 for Pitt. Hasn't completely fallen into place, but he's going to have a test with whoever Virginia Tech decides to put out at 149. So keep an eye on that one as well. Pitt has been really stingy this year and had some really good dual wins, and they are a very tough dual team because they're pretty solid top to bottom. And Virginia Tech's going to have everything clicking to make that a good duel for them. Then Virginia's traveling down to NC State. Not a lot of great matchups there. Kevion Roller, Vince Robinson should be decent. Hopefully, we'll finally get to see the return of Marlon Yarbrough at 133, either against Holman or Reading. Some bureaucratic red tape bullshit that they're dealing with the registrar's office. My wife is currently dealing with it too because she just finished one of her degrees and they haven't released her grades either yet. So fuck them. They need to get their shit together. Get together, registrars. And then the other one I'm really looking forward to there is 141. Gable Porter and Ryan Jack should be a really good match. Gable Porter's been super stingy this year. Remember that he is a thick milkshake. And Ryan Jack is very dangerous. The other one is, I don't know what's going to happen. 74, Matty Singleton, Nick Hamilton. Honestly, one of the matches I had circled at the beginning of the year of top matchups at this weight. Nick Hamilton just hasn't been himself. So hopefully whatever he's dealing with, in injury, illness, whatever it is, he figures it out and kind of returns to the form that we've seen, because we know how good he is and can make 74 a really deep weight in the ACC. So hopefully he gets that figured out. The last duel is Duke heading out, making a West Coast trip to Stanford. Those teams do not match up well. Strength to strength, it's not great. The best matchups you're going to see there is probably 174 if Lorenzo Norman's back in the lineup against Aiden Wallace, who had a pretty good scuffle. So keep an eye on that one, but otherwise it's not a lot of great matchups there. Relays Dunbar, if he's back from getting headbutted by Ferrari, that could be a good matchup at 65. But hopefully, I don't know. I'm hopeful that Stanford just has their full lineup because Garvin's been out, Norman's been out. I just want to see them at full strength.
Nice. You reminded me.
And sorry, one more non-ACC matchup real quick. Wyoming, Utah Valley is going to be really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to get to that one, but you reminded me when you said Sonny Sasso. Maybe a little off topic, but on my flight back here to Texas, we had a layover in Atlanta, but sitting in front of me was Sonny and Sammy's dad, Robert Sasso. So I got a chance to catch up with him, and he's super proud of Sonny, and I mean, obviously he's super proud of Sammy too. Sammy's had his ups and downs and things like that, but we had a chance to catch up and talk. And, like I said, Sammy, I've known him again since he was a young pup as well. And he brings it up literally every time I talk to him, of the time I had to call their house to interview Sammy because he was only in 8th grade and didn't have his own cell phone. So, but super nice guy. And it was really awesome to see him. Saw him literally as I got on the plane, and then realized that he was sitting right in front of my girlfriend and I as we were flying back here. But always good to see literally anybody in the Sasso family. It's pretty awesome. And he was rocking his Virginia Tech polo as he was flying. I think he said he was flying here to Texas, but he was on his way to Houston for work for something he does for his job. So awesome to see that. Awesome to see him. See how proud he is of everything that Sonny is doing at 197 pounds, and definitely look forward to seeing how well Sonny pans out at 197. I honestly thought that
he looked really good.
I would have thought he was going to be a 184 coming out. So the fact that he's at 97 and like he's a healthy 97, I'm like, awesome, love it.
He's tall, very tall.
Yeah, he's humongous. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, you mentioned Wyoming and Utah Valley. They're going to be wrestling on Saturday, and then Utah Valley has their open. Robbie, I know you talked to Adam Hall. Who was it again that he said the teams that are going to be participating in their open?
So we were talking about this before we got on.
Yeah.
that the Utah Valley is going to be hosting, and we didn't. This is a new development for us, so I reached out to Adam to see who's going to be there. He said Wyoming's we got a bunch of guys. Stanford has some guys coming. Oregon State's coming down. A couple smaller schools, Snow College, which I believe is in Idaho, and Western Wyoming, and it's potentially Cal Baptist. So he said it's likely to be kind of like a round robin event, but it should get some good competition out there. I like that, making it a good trip for Wyoming across the state there to make a 2-day trip out of it. And there should be some pretty solid matchups in that duel because they're both kind of scary good dual teams because they don't have any real holes and they're stingy at every weight. So that should be a pretty good back and forth duel to keep an eye on. I think that's on Sunday. No, Saturday. The 10th,
Saturday, yeah.
So that one would be fun. WrestleStat has it Wyoming 22, Utah Valley 13, but there's certainly a lot of toss-up matches. 33 will be a good match. 49 will be good. 57 will be really good. Jared Hill and Mark Takara, that'll be a good one. And there's another one that I thought was going to be really good. Oh, 84, Nietenbach and Uhlenhop will be a fun match as well. And Kel Benny had a really good tournament at Scuffle and Joey Novak. So that should be a good match at 97 too. So that'll be a fun duel.
Yeah. The other one I'm looking forward to is Iowa State and was it North Dakota State? We mentioned who was it? Witt in our last show and been thoroughly impressed with him. Always like to see how these guys are leveling up. He was second at Soldier Salute or Scuffle, one of those two. And he'll have probably Perryman, I believe. Is that who? I think that's who they had in the lineup. Yeah, they just wrestled Nico Provo a couple days ago.
Steve, they didn't have a lot of their starters. Steve-O didn't wrestle.
Yeah, so I think it might be Perryman again. I don't know. It could be Steve-O. Steve-O, I think, only wrestled in one of the duels in Nashville as well. So it's been kind of hit and miss with some of these guys in the lineup. So very possible. Could be Perryman. Could be Steve-O. But we'll certainly see. I'm hopeful that it is Steve-O. I would like to see that match at 125. But yeah, again, like I said in the last episode, I love everything that Obi is doing, and he's really starting to, I shouldn't say lean on the young freshman at 125 with Whip, but like his energy has certainly been contagious for the team for sure.
84 will be a good match there too. Burnout
Yeah.
and Dean.
Yeah.
74
Dean's so
too.
I mean,
Dean
we've obviously
Daytona.
seen how hard he is to score on, right? But like just a super stingy wrestler and not everybody scores on him. I mean, number one ranked wrestler in his weight class couldn't even score a takedown on him. So he's super stingy. I think he had 2 overtime bouts when they were in Nashville. I think one with Rylan Rogers when they wrestled Lehigh, and I think when they wrestled Ohio State too, he had a overtime bout too. So super stingy.
Hartzler?
What's that?
Hartzler 174.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was. I actually want to look that up right now. But yeah, that was super good. Super good dual meet when they wrestled Lehigh. Another one when they wrestled Ohio State, which I got to talk to Dresser about afterwards. And it was actually Fishback. He lost to Fishback in overtime. So overtime against Fishback, and then overtime win against Rylan Rogers, who's 1-1. But like,
184.
Yeah, super stingy matches for Isaac Dean, for sure. But yeah, those are kind of the Big 12 matches that I'm looking forward to. West Virginia has Cal Baptist again. I hope that this team continues to wrestle very hard despite the news and everything else. Who knows what can turn things around. Obviously, they're pushing a snowball up a lava hill at this point, but we'll certainly see what happens nonetheless. But that's Big 10, or excuse me, that's Big 12. We've gone through a good amount of the conferences. Was there any other singular matchups or any other dual meets that maybe we missed that we wanted to make sure we mention? talked about Bedlam. NWCA National Duels, we mentioned a couple of times that some of our different teams are going to be in there. And sure, Kevin is excited about Fire Up Chips with Mac. So,
Damn right.
as
Cornell
always,
Bucknell is actually sneaky good. I mean, I've said it before. Bucknell is a really tough dual team, and they are scrappy. And that's going to be Cornell's second match of the day. I know it's not a lot of traveling, but to have a match in the afternoon and then go somewhere else that evening makes for an interesting setup. So,
and you would expect them to have their number ones for Lehigh, obviously, because
right.
that's basically a rivalry, and then maybe rest some guys against Bucknell. But I mean, as you said, Bucknell is a sneaky good dual team that could give them a test, especially if they're sending out guys that aren't starters.
Yeah. I
Can't
mean,
do
they
that.
pushed Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we've got a good slate of wrestling. Conference competition starts. The return of Crookham and potentially Stanich for Lehigh against Cornell. A small state slate for ACC. Big Ten has just a slew of matches. We've got, Bedlam in the Big 12 as well as Michigan State in the Big 10. So a little bit of rivalry happening, I guess, a lopsided rivalry, but those teams still hate each other.
I would expect to see Ragusin in that make his debut as well. I haven't heard anything about that, but I would expect him to be back in the lineup at 141 for them.
Yeah, kind of ease his way into the season.
It's about that time.
Yeah. At this point, yeah, you would think so. And then there's the NWCA national duels, and there's multiple duels going on, not just Division One. I should say divisions going on during that, not just Division One. It's all the way down to NAIA. So 2, 3, and then NAIA is also in there too. So make sure you guys are paying attention to literally all these different matchups and all these different dual meets that we have going on this weekend. There is a slew of competition that we will dig into next week once we get back. If there are any dual meets that you guys are paying attention to, or somebody that deserves a shout out, or somebody we should be paying maybe closer attention to, throw them down in the comments. We always love hearing about some of these different teams that maybe we're not paying enough attention to. I know some people think that we're haters, or at least that Robbie is a very big Penn State hater, and the rest of us are Oklahoma State haters, apparently. That's what happens. You criticize something and you just become a hater of the team and not just criticizing an action. It's called accountability, people. It doesn't make everybody a freaking hater. But it is what it is. Really looking forward to seeing how everything pans out between Bedlam and Lehigh Cornell, especially. Crookham does come back, if Stanich does come back. I know those Lehigh guys are really, really looking forward to having a lot of their big horses back in the lineup. So we'll certainly see. Again, if you guys do see any of the dual meets that we aren't paying attention to or didn't mention, throw them down into the comments. Big shout out to our sponsors, Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you're using those discount codes, and we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.